For this Tuesday, 6th day of January 2015, as we get started on a new year. And sometimes, you know, you guys, you just need to take the Etch-a-Sketch and turn it upside down and shake it.
Wipe the slate clean?
Exactly.
Oh.
We are here with Mike Jankins, bankruptcy lawyer from the Jankins law firm, as we're talking about some things that people have done before they come to see you. That is really interesting.
Yeah, people tend to make a lot of mistakes before they finally decide they want to file bankruptcy. They try other options because they don't want to file bankruptcy, and so, well, we'll try this first, we'll try that, and when those things don't work out, they finally begrudgingly might make a phone call to me. And some of these things are really bad things to do because it costs these people a lot of money. The first bad thing, I think, is they will go to these places that are called debt settlement companies or debt consolidators.
Now, what are those companies supposed to be doing for you?
Well, what they claim they're going to do is settle your debts at 40 or 50 cents on the dollar, and there's a lot of fees that get paid to these companies, and those aren't really made known on the front end, but they collect a lot of money, and then they will, one at a time, reach out to a credit card company when they've built up enough money that they've gotten from the client and say, we'll offer you this amount of money. But it takes a long time to get to those, and in the meantime, all the other credit cards that the person has, if they're carrying big balances, $10,000 on a balance, they're not just going to sit around and wait for 9 months or a year before they finally hear something from them. They'll send this to litigation or just send it to an attorney, and these people are getting sued. Their wages end up getting garnished because they have judgments against them. And these settlement companies, they don't really make it known that that's going to happen, and the ones that are the most forthright will bury it in the contract, and they'll tell people, well, it's a possibility, but don't worry about it type thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not just a don't worry about it type thing, it's a harsh reality. And don't understand why people think it's better to just pay these creditors 40% or 50%, lower the better, versus just getting rid of the whole thing and filing bankruptcy. They've already ruined their credit anyway.
By going there,
going there. I mean,
is there any good reason to go to a credit consolidation company?
None.
None. So it doesn't matter the level of debt you're in, you're saying don't even go that route?
No, because I mean, there's valid, legitimate companies like Consumer Credit. Tom Coates is on this show. Mm-hmm. I've watched them, and they have a very good service they provide, and they don't make false promises, and they're above board with everything, and all the creditors are getting paid. I mean, every month they get a payment from Consumer Credit or the companies like it, and all the companies that are getting money agree to participate. Okay. And unlike these other companies, in these debt settlement companies, nobody agrees to participate. They just they're just notified, this person has signed up with us, and wait your turn. You know, we'll get around to you someday.
Okay.
And
so that's not
turns
really
out bad.
A great idea just to respond like that to one of these companies.
And they solicit people in their emails. They get on mailing lists. They get stuff in the mail. They'll find them on the internet. They see their commercials on TV, on cable. They have them on radio ads. Right. So they're all over. And they're just, I haven't found any of them that are any good, because the model has got so many flaws. For most people, it isn't going to be a good answer.
Okay. But you're saying, but companies like Tom Coates, those are the good ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different matter, a whole different kind of program, and for many people, that's a very good option for them to look at, even before bankruptcy.
What would you say to someone who says, look, I just can't afford to file bankruptcy, that's why I'm doing this debt consolidation?
Well, that costs them thousands of dollars. I mean, what they would pay for a bankruptcy would only represent 2 or 3 payments, or maybe one payment that they're making to the debt settlement company.
Okay, so that's one mistake that people make.
Are there other pitfalls that people fall into?
Yeah, they go to grandma and say, Grandma, can you help me? I need $10,000. I'm way behind on my credit cards. Can you help me out? Or they'll have their family paying their bills for them. They're unemployed for 6-7 months, and they've got someone laying out $800-900 a month trying to help their kid or their grandchild, and they're going, oh, yeah, I'll pay back someday. Well, they're never going to be able to pay them back someday, and even if they could, why would they not look at other options? Again, they could do Chapter 13 bankruptcy and reorganize their debt and make payments with the assistance of the court, because if they can't pay mom or dad or grandma back, who are you going to feel worse about, not being able to pay your credit cards or not being able to pay your grandma back the money that you owe them?
Right.
If you really want to pay, you can do a consumer credit, or you can go and do a Chapter 13 bankruptcy where you essentially consolidate your debt and make a payment through the court, and they get paid every month, the credit card companies. It's just that they don't get interest anymore. And if that doesn't work, or you lose your job, you could just end up changing into the Chapter 7 and you're out from the debt. If a person gets into their relative for $10,000 or $15,000 and they can't pay it back, well, now they owe their grandma and they can't pay them. And things would work out differently for people, but by human nature, when they get into the credit cards, if they stopped using them and didn't do it again until they got them paid off, it might work out. But we see people time and time again that they've gone and done this. They've got money from the relative, and then they just run their credit cards back up after they got paid off.
Right.
I see marriages split apart because one of the spouses runs up a big credit card debt, and then they go and they borrow the money against their home. Another big mistake.
There's another one, yeah.
A big mistake. And so now they're sitting with a second mortgage for $30,000, and then the spouse that ran up the credit cards runs them back up again in the next 2 years, and it's divorce time because one spouse said, "Hey, you're ruining us."
Right.
And so, borrowing against the house, big mistake.
What else? Borrowing against what else?
Borrowing against your retirement plan at work. Most people are allowed to borrow money out of their 401k plans because the rules allow it. It's not a hardship withdrawal where you don't have to pay it back. You're taking out $10,000 or $15,000, and it gets payroll deducted out of your check, and you have no option. As long as you work there, it's coming out.
Okay.
And it hurts your retirement account tremendously. You may pay it back at a very nice interest rate, 3 or 4%. So you're a really good banker to yourself. But when your money that's working in the stock market these last 3 years may have been returning 10 or 12%, and you're paying yourself back maybe 3 or 4, you've just lost a tremendous amount of money. And over the course of 15, 20 years, if you're still at the same place, it'll cost yourself thousands and thousands of dollars as far as what your retirement account would have been had you not done it.
Right.
So that's a kind of really bad mistake. Another real bad thing, when people are thinking about bankruptcy, they hear about all kinds of things from their friends, people they talk to, and they go, yeah, you're going to lose stuff. And so all of a sudden, people start transferring stuff out of their name. And you can't do that. Just by putting it out of your name, you got to disclose those things in your bankruptcy. If you've transferred anything during the 1-year period before your bankruptcy, you don't disclose it, you could be facing federal criminal charges.
Oh, jeez.
So if you unload something to somebody to prevent somebody else from getting it because you're filing for bankruptcy, that's a big felony.
If you don't disclose that you did it. And there's a correct way it can be done with planning with your bankruptcy lawyer, but there's going to be an actual transfer for value. Money will be given, and where it can be used for a legitimate purpose that works within the bankruptcy laws versus basically hiding something, thinking that nobody will find out.
Is it true that you lose things if you are filing for bankruptcy?
You get a fresh start. And in that fresh start, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's protected. And what's protected is what most people would need to get their fresh start. The equity in your home is generally protected. There are exceptions. Your household belongings are protected up to a certain value, but it's so much that almost everything's protected. It would be the rarest of situations where you'd lose any of your household belongings. You get to claim a motor vehicle that's in your name up to a value of $7,000, and so most people we see aren't in a real difficult position with that. If they have a loan, it's the equity that's there, the value after the loan comes off, and if it's a bought and paid for vehicle, again, it's $7,000. And so if you've got a husband and a wife and they each got their names on the vehicle, then you get to protect two.
Okay.
So you get to protect all your pension and retirement money. That's been set up through jobs or IRAs, so that's all protected. So, I mean, most of everybody's things they need are protected. Things that aren't are luxury goods, boats, campers. If people have more than 2 vehicles and, they've got
Like a race truck.
Or a Corvette, or they've got their 2 vehicles and a nice Harley that's paid for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much you can protect.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there are situations where there might be some things that you lose. Although if you have a good lawyer, you don't have to lose anything, because there's many ways to protect these things with strategy and planning. That's all legitimate. And so a good lawyer doesn't have his client lose almost anything.
Okay. Well, do you know any good lawyers that people can get a hold of?
Oh, I know one.
You know one? And how would someone get a hold of that one lawyer that you know?
Well, they can call me if they need to talk to me at 255-1855, or they can find me on the internet at www.iowa-bankruptcylaw.com.
There you go. Now, the next time you come back, we need to talk taxes, because everyone has that
Be
on the
about
brain.
that time.
Yep, good time of year to do that.
All
Perfect.
right.
All right. Good to see you, my friend.
to see
Happy New
you.
Year.
You too.
It is 9:25. Stay right here. We'll be right back. This is Great Day live in Des Moines.